Welcome to episode 197 of Auto Off Topic. What's up, Brad?
Not too much, Andrew. How you been?
I'm good. Welcome to the pod.
This is a thing now?
Maybe.
I'm not sure I like it.
Trying out new stuff.
Well, let's not try out that stuff.
All right, fine. You're no fun.
I mean,
You know what is fun, though? Did
What?
you see the new Bronco?
I did.
So it's like pretty cool.
No, I dig it. I've heard some grumblings of people saying that it looks too much like a Jeep, but I think those people have probably never seen the original Bronco.
Yeah. Or like people are like, well, it looks like an FJ and a Jeep.
Yeah, because the FJ and the Jeep are both retro-styled vehicles to 60s off-roaders.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what the Bronco is.
yeah, I think the problem is there's a whole generation or younger generation that doesn't know a Bronco before like the 80s Bronco or like the OJ body style Bronco, the 90s one. I think that's
Probably.
part of the problem.
So there are how many generations in Bronco where there was three before?
So there's the first generation Bronco, which was the very utilitarian removable top, bolt down, removable doors if you want kind of thing. It was kind of like an International Scout. And then there was only really one other generation of full-size Bronco. It kind of, so I guess it could be considered two generations, but the basic truck is still the same. I think it was 74, maybe 75, where the full-size Bronco came out. And other than headlights, taillights, and some body lines, if you squinted at that and a 96, they were kind of the same truck. Obviously the 90s Broncos had more rounded lines and, softer edges, but it was still basically the same design. So it would have been a two-door SUV with a removable fiberglass cap in the back. So kind of a style doesn't exist anymore. But at the time, it was popular because the Bronco, the Blazer, and the Dodge Ram Charger all had the same, and the Plymouth Duster all had the same kind of style.
Yeah.
They were an SUV convertible, which exists, but not in the same kind of way because they still had a roof over your head. So, interesting trucks.
Yeah, they weren't really canvas tops usually.
They were not canvas tops. There were no canvas tops in the factory. They all would have been a fiberglass topper. I grew up in full-size Blazers and Broncos. My father seemed to always have them. He had a succession of a few different Blazers, and then I think maybe one Bronco in the end. We had like a 91 Bronco XLT. It was maroon and white with a maroon interior. I remember it had two gas tanks, which was... I remember it costing $100 to fill that in the early 90s. So it was it took a lot of fuel. I know that. There was also a Bronco 2 for a while in the 80s, which would have been for our Mitsubishi fans like the Montero and the Montero Sport. The Bronco 2 was a smaller Bronco to compete with the S10. It seems that Ford is doing that again. They're releasing two vehicles called the Bronco. They're releasing the, body on frame Jeep Wrangler Fighter. And they're also releasing one called the Bronco Sport, which I think they missed a huge opportunity in not calling it the Bronco 2, but that's just me.
Yeah. But I think for a lot of people, sport sort of implies like smaller for a vehicle, at least in the way it's been used in modern vehicle marketing, right?
I was trying to think of another one other than the Montero, where the smaller version was called the Sport, and the only one I could come up with...
Sport.
Well, that's also Mitsubishi, but... So other than
Land
Mitsubishi...
Rover, right? There's a Land Rover Sport.
Is it a smaller one?
Yes.
I don't know that for a fact, but I believe you. The only one I could come up with in my brain was the Outback and the Outback Sport. Because the Outback was a legacy and the Outback Sport was an Impreza, traditionally back in the 90s. Probably not anymore, but That was the only other one I could come up with that wasn't a Mitsubishi. I guess
Yeah.
Land Rover, if you say that. I wasn't aware of that. But anyways, they call it the Bronco Sport. It kind of doesn't matter. It's just another unibody mid-size crossover. They're advertising it with pictures of like it doing off-roady things, but it's not an off-roady vehicle, I don't think. I kind of like it to like there's a Jeep Wrangler and a Jeep Patriot. It's kind of like the Jeep Patriot.
Hmm.
It's a vehicle that I don't understand why Ford needs unless they plan on eliminating the Escape or the Explorer because they already have.
There was an Explorer Sport.
Yeah, but it wasn't a smaller one.
Okay.
It was the same body.
Yeah.
You could get a 2-door or a 4-door Explorer Sport. Maybe at first a 2-door was the Sport, but I don't think so. I think it's always just been like a trim package.
Well, they might. What they probably end up doing is, like we talked about this before. I think we're going to see this happening with a lot of car companies. Is they're going to split off model names as their
Branding.
own brand,
Yeah.
which is kind of not. It's not new because Mitsubishi did it really poorly. We've talked about this with all the Colts and like what were they? They were Colts in England and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think that was more of a branding of the company in different markets versus taking a model and making it the brand. I can't think of another one that's taken other than Dodge. They took Dodge Ram trucks and turned them into Ram as the brand. I think they were the first ones to really do that, like shift the model to the
no,
brand.
I think it was. I disagree. I think it was Jeep did it without intending to do it because originally a Jeep was just a Wrangler. That was just a Jeep, and then they just started adding all these other things under the Jeep brand.
So the interesting story about that is that the Jeep name, I don't know, do you know where the Jeep name came from?
Yeah, it's general purpose.
Okay, yeah, so it was GP, it was general purpose, and they called them, they shortened it just saying Jeep. So the
Yeah.
Jeep name came from there. And the company Willis owned the rights up until the 80s, 70s, excuse me, and they sold the rights to AMC. So AMC didn't market it as Jeep as the brand name. It was marketed as an AMC Jeep. It wasn't
Mhm.
until Chrysler bought them in 86 or 87 that they started the brand name Jeep. But Chrysler never had a Chrysler Jeep. It just started with Chrysler as a Jeep. And the same year that the Jeep was available as a Chrysler, you could also buy Cherokee and Grand Cherokee and Comanche. So they had a whole line developed to go along with that, with the Jeep.
Strangely, didn't they have like Ford parts in them in that weird changeover time at AMX?
So AMC
AMC?
developed the Wrangler before Chrysler owned a Jeep. And
Mhm.
AMC, being a small company, didn't have a lot of money to engineer parts. So where they could save money, they did save money. I know they had a GM steering column. I think they had Ford HVAC controls. If I remember correctly, the computer was a Chrysler ECU. It was just a whole mishmash of parts that AMC could get their hands on from other American manufacturers. So the first few years of Wrangler were sold as Jeeps under the banner of Chrysler, but they were sold with parts from other manufacturers.
Hmm.
So they eventually switched everything to Chrysler parts, obviously, because that was what made the most sense. But at that time, Chrysler was starting to do a whole push for a whole separate brand when they bought Jeep, because they released Jeep with the Chrysler Jeep Eagle dealers. So they sold
Mhm.
Eagles at the same time, and a lot of those dealers also sold Renaults at the time.
Yeah.
So
So I'm also trying to think of what else for a vehicle has been in continuous production. So maybe it would be like the Jeep 911. What else? Anything else? Because Jeeps have basically been around since the 40s, almost always in production,
yep.
and it's why there's such a huge, like, I don't know, something happened with Jeeps in like the late it feels like in the 90s, maybe the late 90s, like they really took off as like a cool vehicle to have.
So they were always popular from the 70s as, beach vacation vehicles. But the reason
Yeah.
they took off in the 90s is because they had more creature comforts to be daily driven vehicles. You could buy a Wrangler with a good air conditioning system. It had a good stereo. It had things that people expected in a car. You could buy a Wrangler with cruise control, and it drove more car-like than the earlier ones did. So that's kind of why they took off. Other ones that have had continuous production, obviously the Corvette, which is a huge name, which is now
Yep.
rumors of it possibly becoming its own brand name. We'll see. Mustang since '64 has been continuous.
Right.
And they now are using that as its own brand name because now there's a Mustang electric SUV called the Mach E, which also I don't understand, with a Bronco Sport, an Explorer, and an Escape, and what's the little SUV they have?
Oh, it's based on the Fiesta.
Yeah,
That's the tiny one.
yeah, it's an Indian built thing or something. Well, they sold them in India first or something. The EcoSport.
I honestly don't know, and I don't care. It looks so goofy, like it looks worse than a smart car, like the proportions of it.
Yeah, they're weird looking cars, especially with the spare tire on the back. Also, what I've laugh about them when I see them is they kind of have the mini Escape look to the back of them. They have the same
Hmm.
taillight shape, but if you
Yeah.
look on the tailgate, it's just a piece of chrome with a red lens over it. It's not
Hmm.
actually a light, and it doesn't even have a reflector in it. I don't even understand what it's. It's just there for style. It's pretty dumb looking.
Yeah.
Um, I think
Yeah, and then I think Jeeps
EcoSport.
really took off when they went for the four door. Like that was like, whoa!
Yeah.
Now I can like really use this thing because it's got four doors.
Well, they tried a few different things in the past. They had a long wheelbase one at two different times. So
Yeah.
during the AMC era, they had the CJ7 was the normal Jeep, and then they had the CJ8, which was a long wheelbase Wrangler looking vehicle, but still a two door, and it didn't really work out.
Hmm.
And then on the TGA generation in the 90s, they had the Wrangler Unlimited, which was a longer wheelbase, bigger cargo area, but still a two
Yeah,
door,
kind of goofy looking.
and it didn't really take off.
Yeah.
Missed marketing opportunity. They could have called it the Scrambler like they did the CJ8, but
Hmm.
whatever. They should have, but they didn't. And now they said, well, if we're going to do a pickup bed behind a Jeep, maybe we should give it four doors because people want four-door pickups. So I think you're right. I think the cult of Jeep that has become the past few years is half in response to it being a four-door and the other half due to social media pumping Jeep life, I think, more than
Well,
anything else.
I'm trying to think of like the last time I saw a new Jeep that was a two door.
And they're out there.
I think I'd be curious to look up the sales numbers. I bet you they outsell them like 10 to 1.
I think part of the reason you don't notice a new Jeep that's a two-door is because the styling hasn't changed very much. And at first glance, it could just be a Jeep from the past 20 years.
That's true, but
Yeah.
I bet they do outsell. I mean, part of it too is the way, again, dealerships order vehicles in the United States is they just order what they think will sell, and then people don't want to wait for or order their own vehicle, so you just buy what's on the lot.
Yeah,
So
special ordering is not really a thing anymore, I've noticed.
no. Now, will people special order these Broncos? Probably, or they'll search for them because just looking at them, they've got like 8 different trim levels,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
It's kind of neat, though,
And
because it'll make packages available the way they used to be.
yeah, that part is cool. And it goes from like the base is around 28K.
Yeah, I think 29,999 is the number they're saying for a base model.
Yeah, and then the most expensive one, they've got some crazy, of course, limited edition thing. We're going to see at Mecum Options called the First Edition. That's like $60,000,
Right.
which has everything.
Yeah.
But the base is pretty cool. If we can, we'll just start talking about Broncos now.
Yeah, so
The
go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, so I was looking at all the different possible options available.
Yep.
And the word base isn't really a good word to describe the vehicle, I don't think. It's not a penalty to have the base model. It's quite a good vehicle.
Should they call it like the base camp? That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was going to buy one and dollar figures notwithstanding, the base is
Hmm.
the one I would buy.
Yeah, it's got 16-inch steel wheels, silver painted. It does come with all seasons, so you'd have to swap those out.
I'm going to change the wheels and tires anyway.
I'm curious to know if it comes with skids because it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you have to buy other packages to get skid plates, which is kind of weird, but I'm sure you can get takeoffs because people are going to do aftermarket skid plates and all that good
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Um, the big thing, it's kind of weird. I don't know what the difference is, why they even bothered with these two engines choices. We're having the 2.3 EcoBoost or the 2.7 EcoBoost because you've got a 4-cylinder that's a 2.3 or a V6 that's a 2.7.
Correct.
And you're only at like 270 horse and 310 horsepower.
The torque number is different. The V6 is going to have a much higher towing capacity.
It will, but if you're in the two-door Bronco, the 270 horsepower Turbo 4 is pretty good.
Which, as we all know, turbo motors are a flash away from another, 20%
Oh,
horsepower.
especially now.
Yeah.
And Cobb was already advertising the access port. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not, these engines aren't new. They're already available in current vehicles. The Ford Ranger with the 6-cylinder EcoBoost has I think a 5,500 pound tow rating. So I'm sure we're going to see that same tow rating in the Bronco for a V6 long wheelbase Bronco. I think that's part of the reason that there's a second option. I don't think that a 4-cylinder 4-door would sell very well. I don't think Jeep sells a lot of.
yeah.
I don't know if Jeep even sells a 4-cylinder version of the 4-door Wrangler. Actually,
I don't know. I know they just recently came out with a 4-cylinder, right?
no, they've had a 4-cylinder.
We don't keep
forever.
up to date on Jeeps here because
We're not Jeep people.
they're yeah.
They're the obvious
they're the last
choice,
one.
and
They're not very
we
good.
and we historically don't take the obvious choice.
No. But what I like about this base one is that you can get with a 6-speed. No,
7 speed.
7-speed manual, but the 7th gear is a crawler gear,
Yep, it's really
which
neat.
is pretty wild.
Yeah, supposedly there's lockers and things involved, and it's got like a Dana 60 in the rear, which is not terrible. It's got independent front suspension, which people will.
But with a Dana diff.
Why is it good? Independent front suspension, because 99.9% of even the people that take them off road don't need solid axles.
It just drives way better.
Yeah, and the amount of time you drive in the street, you much prefer to have an IFS.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that whole argument that people say real off-roaders need to have.
It was a Harley.
No. Probably going home to get in his Jeep.
Yeah. All my windows are open.
Yeah, it's hot out today. Right?
No, it's actually quite nice. So that's the other thing. So like you've got, you can get the manual. There is what's really cool, a Sasquatch package.
Yeah, not a missed opportunity. That is a good name.
Nope. And the 4-wheel drive system is called GOAT.
Yeah, it goes over all terrain, I think it says. Yeah.
So also excellent marketing. But there, I was doing a little research reading. It's unclear if you can get a Sasquatch package with a manual transmission currently. But
Again,
word from Ford was that we are open for suggestions on that.
Again, the base model is probably the way to go anyway, because he gets almost everything you need. I think the base model is a better looking vehicle. The front grille is totally different. It has more of a retro style to it. It looks more like a 1966 Bronco, which is what they're going for. In fact, if you paint that grille white, I think it will look amazing because the original Bronco had a white grille. So I think a base model is the way to go. It's a neat truck. I haven't been excited about a new car or talking about a new car probably since Toyota first announced the FRS.
Yeah. And the thing is about these, they'll probably sell, and they'll probably sell really well.
Oh, they definitely will.
because they have mass market appeal. They have lots of appeal for people who don't want a Jeep. They don't want to live that Jeep life because of the stigma of owning a Jeep. There's some people that are all about it, and there's other people that just won't drive a Jeep because it's a Jeep. And there's other people like us that won't drive a Jeep because they just don't drive that well. And then you've got, like, I can see these as rental vehicles. They'll be huge. Like,
Well, there'll be no more
I don't know.
Hertz, so
That's true. But yeah, when you can vacation again, these will be like a cool thing to rent, right?
well, the good
Because you
thing is
can.
they don't come out for quite some time, and maybe by the time they come out, you'll be able to rent one for vacation somewhere.
It's true. But it's cool because you're getting both a useful SUV, it seems,
Hmm.
and a convertible.
Yeah, I assume it's going to have a hardtop option like a Jeep.
It does. So, and the hardtop is modular. So it sounds like from reading about it that like you can take all the side windows off and leave the roof on. So you get the same effect, but you don't also don't have to bake in the sun or
So
buy
that
an
would be
aftermarket top.
that would be the Arizona way.
Right.
Take all the sides off, but still not bake in the hot sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Exactly.
not currently in the $30,000 car market. But
No.
in a year or so, when these things come out, who knows where I'll be? And if I were in the $30,000 car market, I would definitely not hesitate to buy one of these.
No,
Um,
it's a pretty cool vehicle.
and as a short wheelbase Montero owner, regardless of its current condition, it's kind of the obvious choice for a modern vehicle. It's kind of the same kind of vehicle, but new. The
It
only
also,
go ahead.
well, I was gonna say it also warms my jaded new car heart that a company paid so much attention to details in making it look retro without going overboard with it, with giving it useful options that people can actually use, and like you don't have to, you can basically take it off the showroom floor and it'd probably be just fine off road. You don't have to do anything to it if you don't want
100%.
to.
Yep.
And like they actually listened to and paid attention to an enthusiast segment. And I don't know, it's like, seems like they built a really cool vehicle. So
Well,
I hope
off
it
road
works out.
vehicles have had a little bit of more luck with that because the Jeep is retro without even trying. It's just always been a heritage design.
Just
It's
never
never,
changed it.
yeah, it's never had a drastic change. It always has that iconic Jeep look, which you can't knock them for. That's 100% what that market needs. That's what that vehicle is, and it does what it's supposed to do. I don't like them because they remind me of a Dodge minivan on the inside now. But as far as the outside
Yeah.
goes, I get it. It's definitely the way it needs to be. Toyota came out. They had that FJ Cruiser, which I'm going to aggravate my dad here by saying this wasn't my favorite designed retro vehicle, but it had a bit of a charming retro look to it. Um,
They made a strong effort, but it just
it fell a little
it
flat.
just missed.
Yeah.
Just missed.
I don't dislike them, and having spent some time in one with my father's and our listener Ron, I've been off roading with him and his. Um, they're capable vehicles. They're good off road. They drive nice on the street. I don't like the visibility from inside of them, but that's a whole other story for a whole other podcast. Um, and then you have Land Rover that's always kind of had a bit of a heritage design language with most of their vehicles going along. And they've just come out with a new Defender, which has got tons of heritage stuff too, which is the Bronco for the one percenters. So that's off-road vehicles have always had a little bit more of a retro vibe to them from just the way they are. It's just the nature of the vehicles. So it's neat that Bronco comes out with this. It's definitely a kick in the face to Chevy because they just ruined the Blazer name this year.
Oh yeah, it's like why
Why bother?
why
Yeah.
why do they even need why do they need to bring it back? Another SUV. Another SUV. I don't understand it. I don't understand these new companies.
No,
When everything they make is an SUV, why do you even make more than one or two of them?
because they
You
sell.
need you need a little one and a small one.
Now, when you say
Sorry, I mean, I'm sorry. You need a small one and a big one.
when you say
Why do you need
why
Why
another
do you need
SUV?
three big ones?
When you say why another SUV on a podcast where we're just extolling the virtues of this new SUV that was just announced, you need to remember
Okay.
that why another
Okay.
unibody SUV?
Okay, crossover. It's technically a crossover. It's not even an SUV anymore.
Yeah, I don't understand the segment, but the segment's not for me, so I never will understand the segment.
I guess it basically a crossover replaced sedans. You'd be like, why do you need another sedan? I guess, right?
Yeah, why do you
Would
need a
be
Fiesta and a Focus and a Taurus and a 500?
well. I understand you need different size vehicles, and that makes sense. That always has made sense to me. But why you need the same vehicle that's so like a Rogue and a Murano?
And a
What is the
Pathfinder.
difference? And a Pathfinder, yeah, a new Pathfinder.
Yeah.
So yeah, where everything like a Pathfinder, a former body on frame SUV, is now a really shitty crossover, and the Blazer is now a really ugly crossover
Yep.
that like basically looks like a Camaro that's been stretched under a crossover body. Like
Well,
I'm
and here
surprised they
again,
didn't have the gall to call it the Camaro Cross Sport or something, right?
but again, here we are extolling, are talking about the greatness that is Ford in their marketing for this Bronco. But let's not forget, Ford took the Mustang name and put it on a crossover this year too. So they're all
Yeah.
doing it. It's all terrible. It's not a market for us. It's not a market we understand. The reason we like the Bronco is because we do enjoy off-road driving. We do enjoy a vehicle built for a purpose, and this vehicle is built for a purpose. It's why we have Monteros. It's why we have friends with Xteras. It's why we have friends with FJs. We do enjoy doing off-road things.
But the Bronco's also got unique style to it. It doesn't look like any other crossover.
Right. I think that the Bronco is a success. The only question I still have is that door thing. Do all the two doors have that weird like window in the middle of the lower door?
I bet that's an optional like door kit.
Because I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
It's probably like if you want to have the open door feeling, but you're not comfortable having the doors totally off. It's probably like some accessory kit or
Yeah, I
something.
probably
like
would never take the doors off because the windows go down and that's enough. And
Yeah.
thousands of degrees sometimes here in beautiful Phoenix.
Yeah, you'd get a sunburn just from the sun reflecting off the pavement.
Yeah,
On
exactly.
your legs.
Like motorcycle riders in shorts out here.
Yeah. Up your shorts.
Yeah, no thank you.
Burn your nether reasons.
No, thank you. No, I dig it. Again, I'm not a buyer right now, obviously. It doesn't really fit my, to be honest, budget. It would definitely fit my lifestyle because I definitely would like to have a four-wheel drive vehicle out here to go exploring. I live in the greatest area to go exploring, but unfortunately, I just don't have that right now. If I had a little bit more expendable income, I would be seriously considering putting a deposit down on one of these right now. Because
Well, it's also nice. Yeah, $100.
Yeah.
It's also nice to have a 4x4 that's not a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Like, what were your options? A Jeep. That was it.
As far as somewhat affordable, yeah, I can't think of much else. There were
Yeah.
some higher end things that were
Well, what was it? What would be a body on frame 4x4?
up until this year, the Land Cruiser and the Lexus GX.
Okay. Which are $80,000 plus trucks.
That's what I'm saying. In budget, where we're talking, in some kind of a normal human being budget, there isn't anything really
Yeah.
right now.
You get a Tacoma that's, in the 30s.
Pickup truck, yeah.
But it's a pickup truck.
Yeah, there's plenty of pickup trucks. You can get Tacomas, Rangers, Colorados, short
But you know what?
pickups.
We're talking about the 2021 Bronco, when in reality, we can get a 2020 Frontier.
That's true.
Why would you go with something totally new when you can have a proven Frontier?
Yeah, no, thank you. That's another thing I don't understand. Not to go off tangent, but a 2020 Frontier is basically a 1999 Frontier?
05.
Okay.
It's an 05 Frontier.
So my car buying wouldn't let me go to a dealer and plunk down new car money on something that looks like an '05.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I have no problem driving old crappy cars. I don't think that when I can go buy an '05 for $5,000, why would I spend $35,000 on a 2020?
Hmm.
I have an issue with that, but that's maybe my own neuroses, which is also the reason that I'll wait to buy a used Bronco because I just will.
Well, yeah. Just wait till people are going to lease them, and then you can get a certified pre-owned.
Couple-year-old one, something that already has a couple of desert scratches on the side that I don't have to worry about getting the first scratch on.
Yeah, where you are now, they're not going to rust.
No, it'll last forever. But that also brings to the point, why bother at all when I can buy a $2,000 Montero?
You don't get all the nice new modern technology and convenience.
If I've never had it, I don't know it exists.
It's true, but sometimes it's nice to have new cars.
No, it is. That's why I have a fairly new car right now. But
See, that's the thing. I hope that people buy these trucks, because if they sell and people buy them, then it signals to manufacturers that, hey, if we build stuff that people want, enthusiasts want, we'll keep doing it.
well, I'm happy about a couple of things. That they did build it. They are making it. It does still come with a proper manual transmission.
Mhm.
Hopefully, it will sell with a manual transmission, because that's still an issue too. People need to buy the manual to make it a feasible option for the future. I like the fact that it's retro styled while still looking modern. Up until this point, Ford had kind of like a 50-50 shot at getting retro style right, because they nailed it in '05 with the Mustang, but they flubbed it horrifically about the same time with the Thunderbird. So I wasn't quite sure what we were going to get out of the Bronco, but they definitely made it look right. I think that the original concept Bronco looks better, but the concept car always does. So,
Well, yeah, the concept car isn't holden to any side impact, front impact, any of that stuff. So like the bumpers will always be a little bit thinner, and like the mirrors will be smaller and stuff like that. So the concept cars always typically look a little better.
or the mirrors
Like,
won't even exist. I'm looking at you, Cybertruck.
yeah. Well, like remember the Plymouth Prowler, how much better the concept looked than the actual car does?
Well, the concept looked cool because it was an old hot rod. And then when they came off the dealership lot with that mid 90s plastic interior and Chrysler V6 and were driven by the lame cruise night crowd, that's when they got real. That's when they kind of got ruined. That wasn't.
Well, I was thinking more like the giant impact bumpers.
Yeah, that's true. They were terrible. And they were that terrible 90s textured plastic.
Yeah.
But no, I'm super excited for the Bronco. I really am. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to say I'm going to buy one immediately, but I could see myself owning one of these at some point in the future, which is a rare thing for me to say about any new cars. So it makes me happy. I'm glad it exists. I hope people buy it, and I hope that it pushes for more competition in other segments. Maybe Chevy can bring back a Blazer.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's not too late.
Maybe Jeep will bring back a smaller Wrangler. That's the other thing that I do want to see is how large this thing is.
Well, the short wheelbase, the two-door, is 109 inches or 106 inches.
So it's similar to a Wrangler.
Yeah.
And the two-door Wranglers aren't too oversized, I guess.
They're proportionate, I think. It won't be like a two-door Challenger.
No.
A Charger.
Gigantic. I think the Challenger is the two-door. I think you're right.
I mean, those were big cars in the original form, but they just look super big with the big slab sides that they have and the 22-inch wheels and stuff like that. So.
Well, if you park them next to an original Challenger, you can see how much larger they actually are. The original is a much smaller car. I mean, just think
say much smaller.
Oh, have you ever seen them side by side? It is a much smaller car. Well, think of it this way: the original car had 15-inch wheels, and they looked proportionate. The new car has to have 20s to look proportionate. So,
well, that's why I think with the current Mustang, they sort of even took the '05 style and evolved it more and kind of shrunk it down and made it tighter around the chassis.
Yeah, they definitely have. They've pulled
And
the quarter
I think,
thing for more swoopy lines, and
yeah, I think it's a very pretty car
no,
for retro styling. So.
I dig the new Mustangs. They're neat cars, and
Yeah, I think it's better looking than for some reason the last gen Camaro just didn't do right.
the very last Camaros kind of worked for me.
The ones that they changed.
Whatever the last year of them is 2020 the last year of them?
Something like that. I don't know.
The very last ones I liked. When the style first came out, they were kind of blah looking. But it was another retro style done wrong, I think.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
All right, enough new car talk. You have any project car updates?
I don't. I said last week I was going to have an answer for everybody this week on what was happening.
Yeah.
I did put a post up. That was kind of a combination post. It was, hey, anybody have an engine that's in good working order? Or does anybody want to buy this thing? Get it out of my life. So it's kind of one of those whichever happens first deals is going to be the deal. I had a standing offer at $250 to buy it from me, and I almost took it. But I figure I have probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 to $800 into it. I'm not expecting to get that back, but I'd like to get $400 or $500 out of it if I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen. I haven't found an engine for it yet either. Nobody's locally seems to have one just sitting around. I found one in Prescott, Arizona, which is about a two and a half. Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours to where this engine is. But it's in a truck, and he's not willing to take it out of the truck. He wants me to come up and do that, and I don't have the equipment to do that with.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, so that's in the back of my brain, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. So the other part of my brain is saying that I'm just going to say damn the torpedoes and pull the head off and just investigate again. So
why not?
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere.
Why not? It's here. Yeah, I got nothing else going on. We're in the worst area for the pandemic. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not talking to anybody. Nothing but time.
Check it out.
Nothing but time. But I haven't done it because I've been a wuss and it's been 117 degrees.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So it's warm. It's warm right now. Yeah. It's unseasonably warm right now. So, and also we officially finally moved into our house. We were kind of living in the house and our old apartment, but I officially moved this past weekend in the 117 degree weather. Thankfully we had movers.
Yeah.
But we still had to move a lot of stuff on our own as well. But yeah, it was hot, but it's done and I'm here. So I've been spending time unpacking and, building things in the house, shelving and whatnot. And yeah, we're doing some painting. And so we've had other projects taking our time, much like nothing as big as your kitchen, but house projects.
Oh, gosh.
Similar to your kitchen. So I've been busy doing other things, but I think the plan, we're recording this, it's Wednesday night. The plan is probably for Thursday and Friday night after work to tackle taking the engine apart. So I'll pull the cylinder head off. I'll check the valves again that way. Unfortunately, I don't have a compressor here at the house, so I can't do the leak down test. So I'm just going to take it apart. It doesn't take much to take the cylinder head off of an old Toyota. So, and if it is valves, they're literally $2 a piece. So I'll just buy a valve spring tool. I'll change the valves out and hope for the best because it's going to be a grand total cost of there's 8 valves. So it's $16. I think I can handle it. And it's not like it's been run. I can reuse that head gasket. So
yeah,
whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
I'm not going to stress.
So I don't think I talked about it. I got the flex pipe section for the Glant. I was trying to measure it when I was under I didn't have the car on the lift. It was just, the town was, so both my cars are at my dad's place, his garage, because I'm using my garage for construction area storage for the kitchen. So anyways, the Glant was under the town, which was on the lift. I didn't feel like switching the cars around. So I tried to reach under there with a tape measure and measure it. And I measured the actual woven flex section, which was 6 inches. But it turns out when I finally got out on the lift, the overall with the little flanges is 8 inches. That's how you measure it. Now, in my brain, yeah, that makes sense now. But at the time, I'm like, well, wouldn't your flex section be the if you're telling me it's a 6 inch flex section, wouldn't that be the actual flex section?
Right.
And then the overall would be different?
But it's not that.
Like, no. So the overall is the overall with the flanges. So it's so like uh, a 6 inch flex section is actually like a 4 inch flex with an inch on either side of flange. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So yeah, that's where I messed up. So anyway, I ordered the right one. I have it. I just haven't had a chance to weld it because it's been like super hot and humid, and I'm working on other stuff, and the car doesn't need to go anywhere. So I actually wish that it's a Vibrant piece that they had actually made the 10-inch one. That would have been a little easier to weld, I think, because I could slip the exhaust inside of the flanges at the end. Instead, this I'm going to be really close to the edges so I don't lose too much length. But I'm going to do my best.
Okay. So you have the correct parts now.
I do. I just haven't gotten to it.
Okay.
And I was also like, I may have talked about it. The Montero had like a weird low idle. It's like really big sitting at a light or in a drive-through, and it would drop to like 590 RPMs, which is pretty low. And not like a couple weeks ago, I was driving it back through. I went over to a restaurant near my house to pick up something, and then came back through our little neighborhood, just doing like 20 miles an hour, cutting across the block, and the truck totally stalled. Like just pop. I'm like, okay. Started back up, drove it home, but like barely wanted to idle. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. I drove it a couple more times after that. Seemed to be all right. I was like, you know what? I haven't changed the filter since I bought the truck in 2017, which sounds terrible, but I've only gone like 15,000 miles, which
Right.
in the grand scheme
Not
of
a big
things
deal.
is within limits for an air filter. Even doing dusty NEFR, it wasn't like, that's like 2 days a year. So I was like, all right, I'll just get, I thrown a Denso one in there the last time, which if you buy a Mitsubishi filter from a dealer, it's just a Denso in a Mitsubishi box.
Right.
Pro tip. So I grabbed it, opened up the thing because it's super easy, lift it up, filled with like a mouse nest. Like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was pretty thick too.
Yeah. So the filter is like almost completely clogged with mouse hair. And then like just this massive mouse nest, and just smells like mouse urine. So I'm going to have to take that whole tube off, put my gloves on, dump all that shit out, and then, hose it out, clean it out with Simple Green, and put the filter back on. So that was as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, that is a later Andrew project. I'm not going to do this quick 2-minute air filter swap right now. Now I need to invest like 30 minutes of cleaning. So I'll have to get to that at some point. Yeah, I haven't done it yet.
Okay. At least
Plus the truck needs a sticker again too, because they're back to requiring stickers. I'm like, cool. Like, I don't think anybody cares.
I don't think it was a hard thing to get a sticker for that, was it? It was.
It feels like it has a little bit of a loud exhaust, but it should probably be all right. It's just silly. Like, I don't know, why do you need to have people going in your car right now for a silly thing like that? But
because people don't know how to maintain things.
You live in a state that barely has inspections.
Yeah, and how many rollover accidents do I see on the highway on a daily basis? The answer is a lot.
Yeah.
People don't know how to inspect their own vehicles, so they basically drive them until they fall apart. Is basically what happens. So eventually you'll see a car with a delaminated tire or a ball joint broken or any obviously preventable issue on the side of the highway. So there's a reason inspections are good. I wish they had them here, honestly, because I'm not afraid of going to the inspection station. I've been doing it my whole life.
Yeah.
I do still have to go to the annoying part of the inspection station here anyway. So the safety parts have never been an issue. It's always been the emissions is annoying, and I still have to get emissions here. So
Oh, because you have a diesel.
no, because I have a car that's newer than 1974.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, emissions is required here if you have any vehicle. I think it's 74, and you don't have antique insurance. So any daily driven vehicle here gets emissions every 2 years. So my Volkswagen, I actually just did it last week. I've done it now twice because you have to do it when you transfer from out of state. And then, unfortunately, it was my year this year to get emissions because it goes based on the vehicle year. So I had to get it 2 years in a row.
That's annoying.
Yeah, but on the Volkswagen, it's not annoying. It just costs $10 to drive through a garage and have them give you a piece of paper that says you can renew your registration.
Thumbs up, dude. You're good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you have a brand new car.
It's 2013 with 60, 70,000 miles on it, so it's not brand new.
Yeah, but it's new enough that, like, stuff shouldn't be wrong with it.
You would think that, but basically I roll in and the guy says, "Is this thing a diesel?" And I said, "Yes." And he takes out this big magic book with exemption cars on it and checks to see if it's exempt, and it is exempt, and they roll it through. And I paid them $10 for a piece of paper to say that I was there, and they didn't test anything. So I can get my registration renewed. So the last time I got it done, the guy said they don't put certain cars on the machine because basically they blow such a dirty smog that it clogs the machine and they have to clean it and reboot it every time. And the Volkswagen is one of those. So they just don't do it. They look at the car. They determine that it's stock enough. The exhaust, it doesn't have like big exhaust. It's not belching black smoke. I don't have, a coal rolling system on the vehicle. And they let it go through otherwise. So pro tip, if you live in Arizona and you do need emissions, it's not statewide, it's countywide. So I know in Maricopa County, which is where I live, that it, as long as you roll through and your vehicle appears stock and isn't covered in black soot and you have a diesel, you just roll through and don't worry about it. So
Nice.
If your vehicle does blow black smoke, make sure you wipe your bumper off before you roll in for your inspection, because that's what they're looking for. So it's an annoying process. I have to wait in line at the emission station, pay my money, get my stupid piece of paper just to renew the reg, but it is what it is. So the other cool thing is here in Phoenix, you can choose whether you want to renew your registration for 1 year or 2 years.
That's weird.
And it costs less, obviously, to do it for 1 year. There's a discount for doing it for 2 years. So it makes more sense to do it for 2 years. But when I was moving here, I was running low on expendable income. So I registered for 1 year. So I had to redo it this year. But now it's all set for 2 years because, believe it or not, I've been here for a year already.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it.
So it feels like it's been 10 years because of the whole Corona thing, but it's only been a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's been a year. I feel like I just moved here. So
yeah,
I've been here for a year. It's crazy to think about. I've been at my job for 8 months. Like, I don't even know how that's possible. 9 months, actually. So, yeah, it's time flies when you're having a good time, I guess. But
sure. All right. So, one event that is coming up, Southern New Hampshire Cars and Coffee is back.
Awesome.
There will be an event Sunday in Derry, New Hampshire, not Salem, Derry, New Hampshire at the coffee factory. They unfortunately had to close the Salem location. So our friend Malin has moved the event to the Derry location. So go on Facebook, look up Southern New Hampshire Cars and Coffee. That has the address. I don't know the address off the top of my head, but it's Coffee Factory, Derry, New Hampshire.
It's literally
off on 93.
It's literally right off 93. Like the exit ramp goes into the parking lot. I went to one event. I went to one event there last year.
I haven't been yet.
and it was really good. It's a bigger parking lot. Not a bigger parking lot. It's a more secluded parking lot. You're not mixed in with people going to the New Hampshire State Liquor Store or Bob's discount
Yeah,
clothing stores. It's the people there are there for the event pretty much. So
I
there's
might
Home
go.
Depot
We'll
there
see
too, but
how I feel on Sunday about it. Um, if anyone that does go locally, always wear your mask, try to stand on top of each other,
yeah, of course.
and the usual. We've been pretty good around here, but we're trying to keep it that way.
Yeah, you guys have been lucky. It's well, I guess luck isn't the factor. It's the intelligence.
We weren't in the beginning. It
Yeah,
was pretty rough at the beginning, but again, if you follow those guidelines, it will help reduce it, and that's just like wearing seatbelts helped reduce road fatalities. Starting in the 70s till now, everybody wears a seatbelt, no big deal. It's same thing.
yeah. Oh, can you come and preach that to Arizona, please? Because
Yeah. I mean, it literally is the same thing, right? Like it doesn't, a seatbelt doesn't guarantee you're going to survive a wreck,
right,
but it certainly increases your chances by a lot.
yeah,
So, even if it's a marginal improvement to wear a mask,
yeah.
that is a percentages that we need. So,
Yep. And as long as most people do it, I think we'll be good. But we just need
yeah.
most people to do it. And it's starting out here. People are finally doing it. So we'll see if we can't have over 5,000 cases a day in my
Yeah.
county alone. Hopefully, starting pretty soon. So we'll see what happens. I would like to start having events out here too, but it just isn't a possibility right now. So
Mm-mm. Nope.
I have been chatting with a couple of friends about starting our own little exclusive event out here too. So
Yeah, it would be nice to have a like the. Sorry to burp again. I have I had a nice shandy and a harpoon rec league, but anyway, yeah, it'd be nice to have like the 4 till 4 type thing.
yeah,
If you could do something invite only, like, well, not invite only, but low key,
very low key.
that'd be good. That'd be
The
good if you
4 till 4 events aren't officially happening, but 4 till 4's official statement was we're open. If you show up, we're not going to throw you out.
right.
So my thought to that was, well, I'm not ready to go yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. It's like my decision to go on that rally in the East was because there was only going to be like 10 or 12 cars,
Yep.
and that only means like 20 people.
Yep.
So it's just not that many people, and everybody gets spread out. So
And I know that the Rhode Island mini melee that we did last year was last weekend too.
yeah, I know they'd been doing socially distanced drives this like spring and
Yep.
early summer. So I kind of I missed that, realizing that was their main event.
Right.
I might have made more of an effort to go down there, but I didn't. So
Right.
it was pretty fun last year.
Well, anytime you need a chrome bumper car to use, feel free to go grab the Colt. So until I get it out.
Maybe. I don't want it to be on my watch where the engine finally gives up the ghost.
I know it's on its way out, so don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
I just don't want to deal with it.
There's a perfectly good running engine sitting right next to it in the garage to just bolt right in. That would literally be like a 4-hour project. So anyway, yeah, you're allowed to use it whenever you want. That's all I'm saying. It's there. It's there to be enjoy it. Or the Starion. Take the Starion out. It's registered. It runs.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know if it needs a little bit more shakedown miles to drive it that far, though.
Well, it needs some shakedown miles. So go out, get in it, and drive it around town, please. It's legally registered and insured. Please use it. I would love to have some shakedown miles on it so I can drive it across country eventually. So,
all right, we'll see.
yeah, we'll see.
Anything else to add?
I don't have a lot.
No, been a little quiet,
It's
unfortunately.
been a little quiet. There'll be more next week, I
realized-
hope. I have a lot planned for this coming week for project cars and scale project cars and stuff I have planned to work on.
I realized that this past week would have been AFR weekend.
Yes.
It was going to be Climb to the Clouds, like actually
This
the week before that.
weekend
So-
would be the Mistlewood.
Yep. Well, NEFR technically wouldn't have been last weekend. It would have been the last weekend in July. But normally it was that weekend, but they moved it. I think they basically swapped it for Climb with the Clouds. So yeah, unfortunately, we missed all that stuff because it just isn't happening.
It just
So
means
it kind of feels like a weird summer not having that stuff going on.
it just means 2021 is going to be epic. So
I did watch. Oh, it was 2 weeks now. We watched they had a IMSA race at Daytona,
yep,
like a sprint race. That was interesting.
yeah, that was 4th of July weekend.
Yeah. So ended up the Corvettes won GT Le Mans, and I think Mazda won overall, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
And it sounds like instead of what would have been Watkins Glen, they're going to run Sebring in the middle of July, which sounds probably just as hot,
Yeah.
actually, as upstate New York. It gets just as hot and humid this time of year.
Yeah.
But that'll be kind of interesting. We'll try to watch that.
Well, Watkins
And
Glen is
then-
getting the shaft this year because they're not getting NASCAR either.
Yeah.
Because NASCAR moved to the Daytona Roval for their typical Watkins Glen weekend event.
Which, yeah, I'm disappointed for Watkins Glen, but that seems like it's going to be really cool. And I do want to make sure I tune in to watch that.
I've actually been watching NASCAR races this year. Before we started recording tonight is the All-Star race. And I paused that to start to watch when this is over.
All right.
I watched the qualifying races just before this happened.
Yeah.
NASCAR's been really good this year. They're making a concerted effort to make it more entertaining. I'm starting to understand the new rules. The weirdest thing about NASCAR this year is that it's Ford Mustangs versus Chevy Camaros versus Toyota Camrys, which isn't like a natural pecking order of things.
That pony car, the Toyota Camry.
Yeah, well, it does have a long hood and a short trunk, so I guess by definition it's a pony car, right? I guess next year they're developing a super body to run, so it'll be Camaros, Mustangs, and Supras, which makes a lot more sense. So they're already running the Supras.
How is that going to work?
What do you mean?
That Supras looks so much different than a...
Yeah,
Camaro.
I don't know. I mean, the basic middle of the car is kind of the same on every one of them anyway. I mean, a Mustang doesn't look anything like a Camry, and they make it work. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, they're developing a super body. They actually already run the super body in the Nextel series, Nextel Sprint series, whatever the lower series is now. It's Monster Energy is the top end.
Brad, you there?
Whatever the next series down is, the feeder series.
Brad, you there in this year?
I'm not. The feeder series, the Cup series, is already running the Supras, so you can already see what they are. The neat thing is the cars have gone back to unique fascias. For a while there, they had a standard fascia, and they had, Ford sticker headlights or Chevy sticker headlights. They've actually changed the shapes of them now to look more like the vehicles they're based on. So that's neat.
So are they basically just running the southeastern corner of the United States, like Florida, South Carolina?
That's what it seems to
They're
be.
just keeping all
They're
the
staying in
teams in that area.
The All-Star race tonight is actually the first that's going to have any kind of spectating as well. So they sold about 30% of the tickets, and they're going to have people sitting apart from each other.
So they're almost like almost doing the bubble cities kind of for NASCAR, sort of.
Yeah, they're staying in NASCAR's territory. They are running New Hampshire, though, in August. And it looks like there will be spectators there, too. So,
well, IMSA makes sense. You'd run it in Florida because you have two of the biggest endurance tracks
in the world.
In the country.
Yeah, in the world, actually. Yeah.
Right. So you get Sebring. They're right there. So you might as well run it there.
Right. But no, NASCAR has been very entertaining this year. I recommend actually watching it. I'm learning how all the rule changes work that have been changed since back in the day when I used to watch it. It's interesting. They have different commentators because half the races are on Fox Sports and half the races are on NBC. So each team has their own commentators for each network. It's interesting seeing the commentators that were drivers when I was watching all the time are now commentators.
Right.
And actually, I'm excited because they have a guest commentator tonight for the All-Star race, and it's Darryl Waltrip. So,
Nice.
yeah. So, neat stuff. Neat stuff. But yeah, give it a watch. And maybe we can watch next weekend's race and we can chat about it next week and talk about some new NASCAR stuff.
Yeah, I'll try to remember. I forget.
Sunday. What else you do on Sunday, man? You watch NASCAR. Pretend it's 1995 and you still care.
But it hasn't been on Sundays.
Yeah, it's been on Sunday.
They're moving it because if there's no spectators, it doesn't matter what day it's on.
It's been mostly on Sundays.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
I've watched the past few weeks. So the All-Star race at Bristol is currently paused on my TV, and I'll go. They haven't even started yet when I sat down to record this, so hopefully I can watch the whole race.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
That's it. I am good, sir.
So, as always, you can find us Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook, Auto Off Topic on Twitter, Auto Off Topic on Instagram, and me, Raced in Anger on Instagram. I think I posted. My Mousetrap air filter.
Yep.
Is the last thing I posted. I was kind of thinking I haven't posted much lately.
No, we've been kind of slow. I have some new diecast stuff I was going to put up there. I got a couple of new Pajero Evolutions and.
Yeah, you got an idea for some stuff with your diecast that I think you should.
I have that planned out. Everything's packed up right now. That's why I haven't done it yet. So
all right.
That the idea happened, and then I packed my entire house for the move, and I haven't unpacked yet. So.
Yeah. It's a good idea. So I want to see follow through on that.
It's happening.
All right. And Brad, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at TSISS350. And I may be, if I can remember, to log into the Auto Off Topic Twitter.
Yeah, there's some stuff on there. I pop in every now and then, but not terribly active, but it's neat to watch.
And we've met some new people through there already, too, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. So, as always, keep your cars analog and aim for the roses.